name is Dimitri Pinkney. I was asked to come and do the career series here today, and I am very excited to be here and speak with you all. What I'm going to speak about today, and if I can share my screen here, is how to launch your career in the technology field. There's like many different ways to do this. I'm just going to share how it worked for me at a high level and some things that you might be able to take with you, and that might help you along your way in your journey. So let me see if I can share my screen here. There we go. I think this is the one I want. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Great. All right. Okay, so today we have launching your career in technology. For me, it was not easy getting into this space. I originally, I went to Edna Carr High School there in New Orleans, and after that, I went to the University of Louisiana Lafayette. School was great, but I did not land the job of my dreams right after college, so I had to adjust some things. And then decided to go back to grad school at Texas Southern University in order to get in the space that I wanted. I can tell you here today that grad school is certainly not required to get to where I've gotten. It just took that for me because I didn't know where I wanted to go at first. Let's see. Okay, so here are at a high level my steps to becoming an IT professional. You want to become knowledgeable. You definitely want to gain skills. You want to keep your resume up to date. Always expand your professional network. You want to gain some exposure. Identify your areas of interest. You also, then you might want to consider some certifications. Then go and gain some experience, go on interviews, get hired, and plan your career. Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about is becoming knowledgeable, knowing your stuff. You always want to strive to have a broad knowledge base in the technology world. You do not want to show up to a career event and you have numerous, you might have a certification in a particular area and you believe you understand it very well, but you don't understand the broad landscape of the of IT. So what does that mean? I have primarily been into cloud migrations, and I've also done ERP, which is Enterprise Resource Platform migrations. Those are the areas that I know most about. However, I always come into contact with people who work in other spaces. For example, analytics or security. I do not know exactly what these people do every day. I know at a high level what they do. And when you go to events or you're in a career fair, you're in a hiring event, or you're at a networking event, you definitely want to showcase that you have a broad knowledge of what everyone does. You do not, I repeat, you do not, and you will not have detailed knowledge into what everyone does. So sometimes, you'll meet someone and they'll ask you, oh, well, you work in IT. And I always laugh when somebody asks me, they say, can you fix my computer? I said, probably not, because, that's a completely different skill set than what I have. However, if you're in the space, you definitely want to know or have some sort of awareness as to what's going on in the entire in the entire technology space. So I have a couple bullet points here. You may not meet, like, let's say you go to a career fair or you're a networking event. You might meet someone, they may not be in your area of specialty, but they might know someone there, and you at least want to go ahead and let them know that you do. Here, I want to make sure that I don't have anyone waiting in the lobby here. I think I have everyone in. I did not mean to go. I've gone too far. Let's see. Okay. You may meet people who are not in your area, but they likely know someone who could be in the area that you want to get into, and you just want to be able to have a high level conversation with them. you don't want to risk embarrassing yourself, you know, just saying that you have no idea of what's going on in a particular area, but you have deep knowledge in one area, which showcases you don't really know the broad landscape. So I would definitely consider reading some publications. You can get things for free, or if you want more detailed knowledge on things, Gartner's does like an emerging technology scan every year. It's always good to know what's on the horizon and what's coming out. All right, next. I would definitely say you definitely want to gain skills and sharpen your resume. You want to sharpen your skills, market your skills. So if you're at the beginning of your IT career, I would say you want to work to gain skills, but it doesn't have to be overly specialized early. If you already know what you want to do, that's golden. I didn't. But if you already know what you want to do, then you can go ahead and specialize. But if you're just looking to get into the technology space in one shape, form, or another, or if you know I want to be in a certain area, then you can begin to put yourself in that area and develop those skills. But early, like if I were in undergrad or first or second year, I would not overly worry about getting deep specialized skills, because sometimes, and especially early in your career, it's just about, you just want to get in and then get that experience, and then you can grow that experience and move, and focus yourself after you get in. Here, I want to take a moment. Are there people waiting in the lobby? I just want to make sure there's no one waiting out there to get in. Okay. Okay, I think everyone's in. Just want to make sure I don't have anyone out there waiting. Okay. So as I was saying, early in your career, I would not focus on getting overly specific. And for those people who are not here, there's one person in the waiting room. And so and just because you're in the technology space doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be a overly technical person. Some people are more functional in nature, and that they work more with the business and relating that to the technical teams or what have you. So you don't have to worry about getting overly technical if that's not you. There are plenty of jobs in project management. I have done a ton of project management or PMO, project management organization work, where you help the team organize, and basically you communicate the project plan, and you drive things to completion, and you communicate with the shareholders. That is a skill set, and it's not technical at all. I mean, not extremely technical, but that is definitely a space where some people are great and can thrive. And that is needed across all IT projects. So it's definitely a great skill to have if that's more your style. Next, I would say always you always want to keep your resume, your CV up to date. When I was in the space of looking to get my career started, I wouldn't leave my house without a copy of my resume. Maybe I had it in like a physical copy of my resume, but I would say in this day and age, you definitely want to keep a copy of your resume in your email. The best place to keep it would be in some sort of cloud storage, like a Dropbox, maybe a Google Drive, because that way, if you never know who you might run across at any given place, and you'll always have access to a copy that you can go ahead and email to someone if need be, or if you need to apply, you always need to apply for something. You always want to have a copy of your resume in some form available. And it's a living document. So one thing that I like to do for my resume is I have like a folder on my computer. And what I do with it is I always keep like a master file, CV that has just about all of the different things that I've done in different bullet points or what have you. But when you apply for a specific job, some of that experience might not be applicable. So what you do is you take and you tailor your resume for each job that you apply to, whereas your CV has all of your experience there. So just know that it's a living document, and always keep it up to date. And that way you can always tailor things to the specific positions that you're going to apply for. Let's see what we have next. Expand your network. This might be the biggest and most important point that I can stress to you here. Expand your network. It's not what you know, it's who knows you. For example, let's say I go to a networking event, and when I was looking to get started in my career, I went to a ton. I've probably been to more career day job fairs, networking events than I care to mention. That said, what you want to do is you want to well, number one is, every time I would go to a career fair, I would definitely say, don't just show up to the career fair and not know what companies are going to be there. You don't know what they're offering or who you might want to target. So if I'm going to a career fair tomorrow or next week, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify the companies that are going to be there. I'm going to find the companies that are going to be there, and ideally I can find what jobs they have available. So now when I walk in there, I already know what companies are there, what jobs they might have available, and then I can begin to tailor my my resume or CV to those roles before I even get there. And you should already be doing your research on the companies and the roles, so that when you come in and you speak to these persons, recruiters, or what have you, you can have a more detailed conversation about the role and how it is you might fit that role. Now, if it's just a career fair event, you don't want to necessarily go in like you want to be prepared to interview if they interviewed you on the spot. You don't want to overdo it, but you definitely want to convey, hey, this is what I'm here for. This is the space that I'm in. And in a couple of minutes, you should be able to express that, hey, I'm in this space and this is what I'm here for. So sometimes you might go to a career fair and they have so many different companies, and you're trying to get around to all of them. Like you're going to spend a lot of time just looking. So you definitely want to be as targeted as you can be when you show up to these events. And when you go, make sure you're well dressed. Make sure you look the part. Okay. Go to conferences. So you definitely go. You're going to work to market yourself, even if there isn't necessarily the job that you see there that you've fallen in love with. You go there to market yourself. You look professional. You convey, what it is you're about. Hey, my name is Dimitri. I work in ERP migrations, more specifically SAP migrations. I specialize in supply chain and in procurement technologies. So that's at a high level what I'm about. So when I go to a career fair, those are the people I'm going to look to target. You're building your personal brand. You definitely, it's never too early to start a LinkedIn page. Start yourself a profile on LinkedIn. And that is also like a living document. But you put yourself there and always keep it up to date. I would also say it's always good to join organizations. One organization that I joined was the National Black MBA program. You do not need an MBA to join. Matter of fact, you do not even need to have graduated from college. However, I'll tell you a brief story of how this worked for me. I went to the National Black MBA conference in, I believe it was 2013. And at the time, I was already working for NASA. I was working for NASA in procurement, and I went there, took off and went there the rest of the day for the career fair. And I already knew the companies that I was targeting. The company that I targeted was Accenture. I walked up to the booth, uh, spoke to them, asked them, "Hey, can you tell me about Accenture?" I was joking. I said, "No, let me be more concise here." I told them what I knew about the company, and I told them what I was interested in doing there. That alone separated me from everyone else there who was simply wondering what they do. You've already identified. I know what you do. This is the space you have that I'm interested in. Here's my name. Here's my CV. That got me an interview. So that's the way you want to go about things. But just joining the organization and showing up to those events was key. As a matter of fact, the National Black MBA actually has their virtual conference going on right now, and they have an excellent hiring event. And definitely, if you go to anything, follow up with the people you meet when it makes sense. You're going to go to events sometimes, and someone may say, "Hey, we have some jobs here," or something in this space. They might give you their email. If they do that, follow up with them. Everyone's busy. I don't want anyone to get discouraged because someone said that, hey, they'd reach out to you and they didn't. Anyone that has any information or any ability to help you along in your career is probably going to be busy. So don't just think, "Oh, I reached out to them once and they didn't respond," and get depressed. If I did that, I certainly wouldn't be where I'm at, because in some cases, I followed up and I followed up again. And when you're starting out your career, one thing I say is you definitely, sometimes you only need one bite. It's like fishing. You throw the line out a bunch of times, you get one bite, and that one is the one that changes your career, and there may change your life. Okay, let's see. Slide. Okay, gain exposure and identify areas of interest. So I said earlier, you definitely want to have a broad grasp on the technology landscape. Maybe at the beginning, you don't know exactly what it is you want to do, but you're studying, you're in school, you just know you want to be somewhere in the technology space. And then as you get that exposure, you begin to identify, like, hey, this is kind of where I want to be. So I would say you identify the area that you want to be in. After that, I named a couple that are hot right now. You have artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud computing. It doesn't matter. Just after you begin to know, and it might not be a single one, but you want to kind of have an idea of some of the things that you want to do, and some of the things that you're like, all right, that's not really my interest. Because sometimes when you show up at a hiring event or a career fair, or you're around some professionals, they might ask you, what are you looking to do? You don't want to sound as though you're all over the place, and like you don't want to sound like I just want a job. And believe me, that can be the case, because at the beginning, I just wanted a job. But you kind of want to have an idea of the space you want to be in, so that you can begin to have more meaningful conversations with the people you meet. So after you choose your areas of interest, you definitely want to deepen your knowledge there. So if you're somebody, hey, I'm interested in cloud computing, or in security, then you want to deepen your knowledge in those areas. So when you do meet those persons, you can have a more in-depth conversation with them. And you can also showcase what you know or what you've done in that space. So once you have the lay of the land and you know a little bit about everything, then ideally you find some things that you are more deeply interested in, and you learn more about those, so that when you're looking for these jobs, you can kind of target where you want to be. All right, next, I would say consider certifications if it makes sense. Like I say, certify after you identify. After you've identified what it is you want to do, and there's a certification in that space, I would definitely say it's probably a good idea to go ahead and get certified. It certainly won't hurt you, but you definitely want to gain some knowledge there. I've seen some overly concern themselves with certifications, and want to get the biggest and best certification they can, there's nothing wrong with that. But I will say that, like just looking at this, and I just grabbed this off of a Google search here, AWS Solutions Architect Associate or Google Certified Cloud Architect. You're not going to, with no experience, get the certification and then someone's going to say, hey, I want to offer you $175,000 a year because you have the certification. I wish it were that simple, because if that were the case, I would have been great a long time ago. It does not work that way. So what I would say is, don't overly concern yourself with certifications, and that you don't need a master level certification, but if there's a junior level certification that shows some type of basic knowledge, if you're at the beginning of your career, that's great. Go for it, and then use that as a way to certify your knowledge in a particular area. And then if you're doing a certification, of course, by the time you're done that, you should be more than knowledgeable in a particular area after having certified there. But I definitely say certifications can help you. It's not a must, but it can help you, especially if you're looking to go into one of the more technical fields. Okay, gain experience and go on interviews. I would definitely say it is your job to find the job. So one thing I did at the beginning of my career, I was looking to gain experience by any means. And if there was a job under a rock outside, I was looking under the rock. Like I was just thinking, like, however I get my experience. Now, one great thing about being in the technology space is you can find jobs without those being permanent jobs. And what I mean by that is, if you're not familiar, you should become more familiar with contract jobs. So one of the first jobs I took that got me some experience, it was at this small diesel parts manufacturing company. And I got it because I placed my resume on roberthalf.com. So if you're looking to get started, you want to get the experience. Here's a couple of different ways, and I've done just about all of these. You want to, if you're looking for something in the technical field, I would say roberthalf.com is a great place to post your resume. Also, dice.com is a great place to post your resume. Also, look at staffing agencies in your area. So let's say you reach out to a staffing agency, maybe you give them your resume. There's a job that might come up, and it might be a contract to hire. It might be a 3-month contract, and then after that, the employer has the option to hire you on permanently. When I was starting out in my career, I loved these, because if I get that, you come in, I know that I have a job for 3 months or 6 months, however long the contract is. That doesn't mean they can't terminate you early. You do have to perform when you get there, but it's a great way to get experience. And since that company is only using you or employing you for a couple of months, they're more apt to take a chance on someone who has less experience. If you don't have any experience, they're probably thinking, well, I don't know if I want to give this person a job and benefits for, the next 3 to 5 years. That might be a heavy investment for them. But if you come on with a contract, then they're saying, okay, we can try them out for months. If we like them, we'll hire them on permanently. If not, you go your separate ways. So as someone who's just starting a career, to me, it's hard to lose there. And the reason it's hard to lose is, A, you come in, you get some experience that you get to put on your resume. So now we're not talking about, hey, I need to get a start. Like, no, now you have actuals, things that you've done, things that you can speak to. And if you do a good enough job, and not all contracts are contract to hire, some of them, they just need you for the 6 months or what have you. But, or maybe your contract is up and they convert you onto a full-time employee. Great, you have a full-time job. But even if you do take such a contract, and they're considering maybe hiring you on, you should also, they're interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them, because if you're on a contract for 6 months, you're also saying, is this a place that I want to be for the next however many years of my life? Do I like being here? And if not, they may offer you, and you may say, well, this isn't where I want to be, but thank you for the experience. And you go elsewhere. So contract jobs are golden for people looking to gain some experience. You may be able to find those at places like roberthalf.com, dice.com. Look up your local staffing agencies. And I would definitely say go on as many interviews as you can. Interview skills are paramount, especially for your high-end jobs. If you want one of the high-end jobs and you're not comfortable going on interviews, I would tell you to go on as many interviews as possible. And by that, I mean, when I was just starting my career, I went on interviews for jobs I didn't want. Why'd I do this? The reason you do that is you want to feel comfortable in an interview. Before I took my job at NASA, I had a panel interview, and there's 5 people. Here, let me let this person in. There's essentially 5 people interviewing me at once. So one person asks a question, another person asks a question. If you are not comfortable in interview settings, you will not be comfortable in a panel interview. But once you get comfortable in that setting and you're more relaxed, then you can better present who you are and what you have to offer. So in order to develop that confidence, if I may not have wanted the job working at I don't know, at Best Buy. I did take a job at Best Buy once, that's another story. But you go in and you go into those interviews confident, because hey, if you're going for an interview for a job you don't need, you're very confident, but you want to feel comfortable, and you take that confidence with you. You definitely want to develop your interview skills. You definitely want to develop your interview skills. And for me, going on interviews, if the job said, hey, we want someone who is an analytical thinker, can lead teams, the things that I showcase in the interview will speak to the exact things that they talked about in the job requirement, because you want them to know by the time that they leave that room that, hey, this person can do this. You don't just want to step into the room and not address the key things that they're looking for in the job requirement. They want someone who is who's led multiple teams before. Well, I have 3 or 4 stories where I've led teams and managed deliverables, and manage client engagements, what have you. So you have to be able to speak to those things. And if you're not used to doing that, go on interviews for jobs you don't necessarily need. It's great practice. So when you do get the interview that you want, you're able to showcase that. You do not want to be in a situation where you leave an interview saying, darn, I know I could do that job, and I just don't feel like I presented myself well enough. That's the feeling you don't want. But even if it happens, keep going on interviews. The last thing I wanted to touch on here is internships. Internships are often a way to get yourself to some great jobs. I've been on 2 internships. I did an internship with Invesco while I was in grad school, and I did an internship with NASA that ultimately led to them offering me full-time employment. The thing about internships is most big companies, they hire for internships and full-time jobs based on a certain criteria. There's a formula. What does the formula look like? Almost all of the big companies, if they're hiring someone at these events or to internships, they want someone who has great grades. If you're graduating with a 2.5 and you want to get the internship at Amazon, good luck. I don't know if it's going to happen. That doesn't mean you can't be great. It's just that's the criteria that they use. So internships, all in those high-end jobs, those go to people with great grades, who have extracurriculars on their resume, and who showed some sort of leadership. So let's say there's something on campus. This person was the president of the Glee Club. He was also a member of this fraternity, or she was a member of the sorority, also was part of the student council, had a 3.8 GPA, and you have some experience. Like, this person has the profile of someone that they want to interview and potentially hire. So if those are the types of jobs that you want to target, then you need to make sure that you look that part, that you have those great grades, that you are leading those student organizations or what have you. And that's one way to go about that. So maybe, maybe that happens now. Maybe if you're at the 2-year school, and when you go on to a 4-year school, you want to do more of that. That is definitely the profile you want to have if you're targeting those big time companies. That's but one way to go. The other way is if you're not concerned with that and you just want to specialize in a certain area, or you develop your skill sets, you can go the other routes that I just mentioned. But there's more than one way to skin that cat. I just want you to know that if that is the way you want to go, then that's the profile that you need to have. Okay, and lastly, get hired and plan your career. It is, or at least it can be, at least it was for me. It is a job to find that job, so definitely take some time to celebrate. You want to come in to your job ready and prepared. Effort shows, and in my career, there have been times when I've beaten out other people, not necessarily because I was the smartest person in the room, but just because I was doing more, I had more, effort, and, did more. People remember those sorts of things, especially for people who are more junior in their career. If further on in your career, the question more or less becomes, can you do it or not? But early, if you don't have the experience just yet, then you definitely want to be the person who's, I mean, for lack of a better phrase, is getting the A for effort. And begin to plan your career and always stay on the trends. Your first job is almost certainly not going to be your last job. And when you get in there, one of the things you want to think about is, what are you going to be doing there, and how are you going to leverage those skills and what you've learned toward the next part of your career. So that's why I always also say, update your skills constantly and update those on your resume. And then once you get in, look to help your qualified friends get in, because now you're part of the network. And that is it at a high level. That is more or less how I went about launching my career and getting into the space. There's definitely more ways to do it than the way that I did, and probably some that are a good bit easier than the way I went about it. But hopefully somebody can take something from what I did, and they'll do it in a far easier fashion than the way that I went about it. But that's definitely it at a high level. So if it's okay, I'll go ahead and I'll open it up to questions. And if anyone has any questions or anything that I can address or talk about, just feel free.
Yeah, we have a customary 3-part question, if you're ready for it.
Nice use of the Northern Lights as a background.
There we go. Yeah, go. Oh, I had it muted. Yeah, go right ahead.
All right. So the 3-parter we always ask people, I'm going to just shoot it out to you and then kind of go through it, is just, who were you? Like, thinking back right out of high school, who were you? What were you thinking career-wise? Were you thinking it at all? I know you had said sometimes you just want a job, right? So who were you right out of high school? Who are you right now? And then where do you want to go? Because, where do you want to stay in IT consulting? How'd you even get into that?
Out of high school. What was the second part?
Who are you right now in terms of career aspirations?
Right now, and the last part is where do I want to be?
Yeah, where do you see yourself going?
Okay, so coming out of high school, I just knew that I didn't want to be broke, and I didn't want to move back in with my parents. Like, that was the goal. I'm not moving back in with I don't think it would work. Once I went to I chose to go to school in Lafayette because I had a top scholarship, and it was about as far away as I could get from my parents and have school paid for, because I did not want, I didn't want my mom showing up to school. Hey, how you doing? No, I'm gone. So that was definitely a motivator there. That was the motivator. Coming out of high school, I loved sports. But, earlier in my life, I was always, technology. We played a lot of video games growing up. And I was always on the computer. So if it wasn't sports, it was technology for me. Those were the two things. And I knew, I said a long time ago that the only physical labor that I'm built for is playing the sport. Because if it isn't that, I need to figure something else out. So it was really broad. I did my undergrad in business admin, marketing. I thought I was going to be a business guy of some sort. And it was really that broad and that simple. I came out of high school thinking I might be in computers. So my first major in college was computer engineering. That was not a good decision. I learned quickly that I was not cut out to be a computer engineer. And at 17, 18 years old, I didn't know the difference between computer engineering and computer science. So my very first semester, I was taking, I think I did well on the ACT, so I tested out of college algebra. So I started in pre-cal. That was challenging. I remember thinking, I'm not here to be a rocket scientist. And I failed that class. That was terrible. But I knew I couldn't go home. So that's who I was coming out of high school. Knew I didn't want to go move back home. Was just trying to figure it out, honestly. That's if I had more direction, things probably would have materialized quicker. But that's who I was. Right now, at the place I'm at right now, I've been a business or technology professional for, I guess I'd say about 8 years now. I joined NASA in 2012 on an internship, and just getting there was a feat in and of itself. I worked for Cricket Communications and AT&T coming out of college, and I used grad school to get to where I wanted to be. And like I said earlier, it's not required. Matter of fact, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't have not have gone to grad school if I could have got here quicker. You save on the student loans. But right now, I'm at a place where, we've all been shut inside for months. And quite honestly, I'm working from home and I'm trying to figure, do I really want to go back out there? So for the last 3-4 years of my career, I've been a technology consultant who's been traveling. So what my weeks would often look like is I wake up at about 4 o'clock Monday morning, get on a flight for about 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll probably fly to like New Jersey, be there at like 11 a.m., get a rental car, go drive to the client site, be there till 7 o'clock, leave there, check into the hotel. And then, you do that for a couple of days and you fly out Thursday night and then go home to your, to whatever city you're based in, wake up Friday, work from home, and then do it again the next week. It was great. You get to keep all the travel miles and everything, but after, I'm at the place where I'm kind of burned out on the extreme travel, because that comes at a cost. It was a lot of fun at the time I was doing it, but you have to want that lifestyle. And like for what I do in technology consulting, it is rewarding. It does pay. It can pay very well, but in some of these careers, you have to get married to the lifestyle. And if you're not at a place where you want that lifestyle anymore, then you have to look to transition to something else. So to answer your question, that's where I am right now. I have no desire to travel every week anymore. And in the career that I'm in, I have to at least be open to that. So I'm looking to either transition to something where I can, work from home, or transition to something that is less physically intensive. Because I have, family and friends that I want to be around more. And, after you do that for a while, you just kind of, you kind of figure out if that's something you want to keep doing or not. So, the last part, like where do I want to go from here? I, for the most part, I want to find things that I can do from the comfort of my own home. The one thing I love about technology is if you're in the right places, for the most part, I can work anywhere I have an internet connection. So if I want to go to Colombia and all I have to do is be online and get things done, as long as I have a working internet connection. So I want to secure myself in a space where I can work remotely. I'm going to specialize in a technology that allows me to do so. And at this place, I also want to, looking to develop other sources of income without having to, work for it all, because this is a very rewarding career. But it is mentally taxing at times, and I can definitely tell you when I was on projects, I mean, the 40-hour work week was just not even something you really expected. You did 50 or 60 hours. You have a project timeline, so maybe when the project starts, things are not too intensive. But when you're getting close to your go live dates, you're not going to speak to your project sponsor or your project lead and say, "Oh, hey, I've worked 40 hours for the week. I'm going to go back to the hotel." Or I'm done. Like, they're going to look at like, "Why are you here?" If you don't want to do it, they'll find someone else who will. So that's what I'm looking to transition to other sources of income and working from home. That's where I'm looking to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That's really awesome. I want to turn it over to everyone else to see if everyone else has questions before I just fire more questions at you. But thank you.
Mr. Pinkney, I have a question for you. I love the fact that you pointed out, when you first got to college, you kind of thought, although you didn't have it figured out, you had an idea, a broad idea of what you wanted to do. And what it sounds like to me is one of the things that kind of set your career off was figuring out very early in your college career what you did not want to do, what you thought you wanted to do, maybe because you heard someone else say it made a lot of money, or maybe because you read something that said, "Oh, this is a great job," or "This is the future." But then you might not have considered, do I fit this career? Like, does what I like to do actually is what I like to do conducive to a career in this field? And you were able to learn very quickly that the answer to that question was no when it came down to computer engineering. Could you think of any other adversity or maybe like a downfall or something in your career where you were faced with a tough decision, where you had to say, "Man, I don't know if I could get through this," or "I don't know if this is the right thing for me," or some type of adversity that you experienced outside of that initial adversity that made you say, "You know what, either I need to change something about myself or I need to change the landscape in which I operate in my career"? Because I know a lot of our students, man, look, this is New Orleans, like, we all have adversity. We all go through some type of suffrage at some point where we have a decision to make when we wake up every morning. We have a decision to make. Can I do this again today? Or is today the day I do something different? Have you ever had that moment in your career where you really had to consider, is this really for me?
Yeah, that it's happened more. It's happened a little more than I'd like, but I definitely had that moment when I was at NASA. I got to NASA, and the way I got there, by the time I got into grad school, I knew what I did in undergrad. What I do in undergrad, I had a bunch of fun. I had fun. I got out with a 2-point-something GPA, and I took a job in Houston just to get away from Louisiana. I just knew I wanted to do something different. And one thing, and I'm going to side right here. One thing I would definitely say for some people, if you're looking for a career in technology, and the thing that you want to focus in is not in your area, you have to be open to moving. That's just something you have to be willing to do. That said, I got to NASA, and I told you where I started from coming out of high school. I knew I didn't want to go home. And I took a, what's it called? I took a job as a grad assistant at the school. And my first day there, Dr. Allen introduced me to the dean. One of the first things the dean said to me was, and this was after presenting myself, and he saw that I was the type of person that that they could send on an internship and would represent the school well. And he said, hey, how would you like to do an internship at NASA? Coming from where I've come from, it was like, what the hell you mean, do I want an internship? Yes, I want an internship at NASA. You damn right. I didn't know what the job was. I just knew it was NASA, and it was better than what I was doing. So I said yes, and that job was being a contract specialist. Knowing myself, reading through, like, it was like reading through contracts, making amendments to contracts. The contracts that I worked on were on the internet, were on and around the International Space Station. And I got to a point there. I remember one day, I was a contract specialist, and there's an officer that I reported up to. My CO, my contract officer, looked at me and said, Dimitri, are you okay? I was in front of the screen. There was a malaise in front of my face. My body was there, but my mind was not. I was thinking about any and everywhere else that I could be in. And the money was good compared to where I was before. The money was great. I was working at Best Buy before I got there. Like, this was different. But I remember thinking, like, things would take forever if I reviewed a contract and I'd send it up and I figured, I'm like, I don't want to spend my life in the review cycle. This is boring as hell to me. I could not do it. And it didn't matter how much they were paying me. And I tell people, there's nothing to motivate you to get another job than having a job you don't like. That is a motivator. And while I was there, so I told you I went to the National Black MBA conference while I was at NASA. I snuck away on my lunch break and told them I was going for the rest of the day. Like, I knew that that wasn't going to be my life. It was boring. Now, if I already had children at the time, what I'd say, probably the benefits were great, great money. And like, all I had to do was continue showing up to work. And, you know, if I didn't do anything ridiculously stupid, which was also possible at the time, I probably would have just, you know, continued to get, you know, maybe promoted. But I knew at that moment it wasn't for me, because it was so monotonous and so mind-numbing. And I was one of the younger people there, and I just figured that I couldn't do it. So that was a moment where I figured I had to do something different. I will definitely tell you that, like you mentioned earlier, this is New Orleans, and we have to deal with, you know, there's things to deal with. I'd say that is a strength, because if you can come through the different things that you have to deal with there and come out of that, like when you get to some of these other things, like, there's some people I did better than at work just because I was willing to work more than them, because I knew I wasn't going back to where I was from. I'm like, all right, like, I'm not going to do that. So, you know, I'll just outwork you here. And you can use that as a strength. You don't have to be smarter than everyone, but that is definitely a place. When I was at NASA, I just said, all right, I have to do something. So while I was there, I made it my job to find my next job. There's also been a couple of times here since I've been technology consulting, and some of that's just been around the project demands. You're working 60 hours a week. You're not having time to spend with people you want to be around. And in those cases, in those times, there have been times when I literally just had to dig deep and keep going. There have been times when and there have also been times where things didn't work out on a particular project, and me and the project lead didn't work out, and I'd roll off a project and have to go find something different. But you definitely can use that as a strength in your career. And I would say always look out for the things that fit you best. There, you can always go from good to better and from better to best. You don't have to be satisfied. And the things that are going on in the technology space, there's always something new and something growing. So you don't belong to it. The career belongs to you, is what I say.
Very good. I love that. I love that statement right there. You got to take ownership. I think
it's your career. One of the biggest pieces of advice or things I've heard since I've been in technology consulting, and this was from someone who's at the partner level at our firm. All our partners, they make great money, you know, $300K a year, lovely. But he said, being here, this is a marriage of convenience. Soon as you don't work out for the firm, or the firm doesn't work out for you, you're going to part ways. And that stuck with me. So it's one of those things where like some careers are the type you stay at till you retire. In the field that I'm in, the turnover is high, and they hire a lot of people out of school until they get burned out. They're not expecting most people to be able to put up with this for as long as I have. It's just not expected. You come in, you do a couple of years, and then you find something else you'd rather do. So that's just, what it is.
Thank you.
Awesome. I want to see if we have, I guess, time for maybe one more question, if anyone has any.
Nice use of the Northern Lights as a background.
Ross, you said something? I'm sorry.
Yeah. That someone's using the Northern Lights as a background.
He's actually commenting on Claude's background. He likes the
Okay.
background that Claude chose to use.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Ross.
I got a question for you.
Can I? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who's speaking?
Nicholas Swarzo.
Nicholas, what you got?
All right. So I heard you tell Arthur Williamson about the NBA Black
National
conference, right?
Yes.
So, okay. My question is, did you play anybody I might know, like Drew Holiday or Brandon Ingram? Did you play any of them or no?
Did I play any of them?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I think we're talking about two different things, my friend.
Oh, Wiz? Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, that would have been nice, but the National Black NBA Conference is a professional organization.
Okay.
I did play basketball in high school, but I didn't play against a Drew Holiday or any of those guys. Those are probably a couple years younger than me, and basketball was a passion. But now I was talking about the National Black NBA Conference, and I used that as a means to get recruited and start my career.
Okay.
I wish, man. If I was league material, I would not be speaking here to you today.
I hear you.
You're still playing or done playing and don't need to work anymore. I wish. If I was that guy, you would not be speaking to me.
I'd love to see you out there on that court, on the Pelicans court.
Oh no, man. I'm washed at this point, man. I'd foul out because I ain't gonna let you embarrass me.
Hey, look at it this way. You only need 5 fouls in order to foul out, okay? So the first foul leading up to that, you should be straight. Somebody else could spot that for you. Like, it's not going to be you fouling all the time. It's not. That's just my opinion, though.
If necessary, it would be. Anyone else have any questions they want to?
I do.
What you got?
How's it going? I joined in late, so I do apologize. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. My name is Francisco Barba.
Okay, Francisco.
So I have two questions.
What you got?
Back to back. One of them is how to get in front of those conferences that you just mentioned, and two, my main worry, because I'm fascinated by the new untapped territory that involves IT and cloud, but I'm terrified that I'm going to get not bored, but like I'm going to be in a redundant position like what you mentioned before, where you had to decide to flip the page, and of course that's trial and error, but my background is film production, and it's also video editing and salesmanship arena.
Okay.
And so I'm very outgoing. And I guess my question to you is, how do you place yourself in those formats where you apply your where you place yourself in the right area where you match your qualities or your strengths?
For that, man, I definitely say some of it is trial and error, and that's why I like to say at the first part of your career you get the exposure and that breadth before you get the depth into something specifically, because You might start into something and might say, hey, this might not be what I want to do. But if you have a little bit of exposure to a bunch of things, it kind of helps you weed some of it out. But there's no 100% way to know that you want to or will not want to do something until you get there. I wish there was. I would have saved some time in my career. I believe the first question you asked was like, how do you get into some of these conferences in front of some of the people? So you kind of just have to research and stay on top of it. I know, like the National Black MBA Conference, like that one is, it's annually. You join the organizations and you become friends or get people in your network who go to things similar. And once you're in their network, they tell you about the things they have and you tell them about the things you have. So it's definitely deepening your network. And man, to be honest with you, my best friend on this whole career path has been Google. You can look up so much by just Googling it, man. I'm only reasonably smart, but like, if I can find it, you know, you just Google it, IT conferences, IT, you know, and then you like, okay, well, there's 10. Well, these 3 are in my area. Well, what do I need to get in this? Oh, they want someone with a degree already. Next. And then you find the ones that you can go, and then you find the ones that you can sneak into. Because I've snuck into conferences before. The part, they probably won't stop you. I'm only here because I've snuck into a couple things.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that if you dress the part and you fake it till you make it, which is kind of like a lingo in show business.
Yeah,
like Nicki Minaj, if you want it bad enough, it's not how talented you are, it's how much you want it. So yeah, I get it.
So yeah, I would definitely say Google them, look them up, build your network and find the people that are in those spaces and also network with them. But you touched on something where you said that you're in film and then you're in some other things. I would definitely tell you there is a very technical part to the technology career, but where I'm at, there's a lot of space in people who sell or make deals. The people who make the most money where we at aren't the people who do the delivery. They're the people who sell the work. And if you have the type of personality where you can connect with people, that's where the money is. The skills will get you in the door, but when you start getting higher up and you're selling the work, you're not actually doing it anymore. You know the people at your firm who do the work. You know, well, hey, Arthur's the best guy that we have on Salesforce. We know Claude is the best person that we have on Oracle. And then when let's say Home Depot wants to implement these systems, you say, hey, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna bring in Arthur and I'm gonna bring in Claude and we'll see what you want. Like, but you manage those relationships, right? So you keep those interpersonal skills and those things that make you great. The technology might just, you learn enough of it to raise up and you manage things. And then next thing you know, you're selling the work and you keep those skills because there's two sets of people in these careers. There's people who are always have the skills. And if you're the skills person, you always have to get the certifications, update what you know. But if you're the relationship guy, you just have it. You develop relationships with different places you've been. You might have been on a project one day at Home Depot. The next project you went to was at Walmart. You made friends or you networked with the people that were in the C-suite, the executives at both companies. So later on, when you get to a consulting firm, you're calling people you know that you already have a relationship with. And that is where that is how you make the most out of your career. And those are actually the best long-term skills to have. You can't teach people skills. Like you can, but it'll be hard for you to deal with someone who's just got it.
You know, and I'm kind of confused as to what path to take. I'm kind of like, you know, exposing myself to see what that is. But what would you say would be that title to research in terms of what we just spoke about?
What job title you mean?
Right, like that salesmanship, that, you know, what, like
most of those are more senior level positions, and that, like at our firm we call them managing directors. At other firms it's a partner level position. You're almost certainly not going to walk from being in school to going to be like, you know, at that level. So there's a couple jobs that you typically come to in between. That said, if you start at like a smaller firm, maybe you can get to that place quicker. At a firm the size that I'm at, there's no one walking out of college becoming a partner, or a managing director. But if that is your goal, then what I would do is I would go on LinkedIn, look up Accenture managing director, Deloitte managing director, Deloitte partner, and then you look at the experience that they had along the way, and you can reverse engineer yourself into that career, because you can say, okay, this guy, he's a partner, he started here, he started doing this, and you can kind of back your way into that. So it might be a little more technical or a little bit more delivery oriented on the front end, but you can get there. But I would say definitely look at the people that you see on LinkedIn who've done it, and then reach out to them. That's what LinkedIn's for. A lot of these people at that level, I can tell you, getting a hold of those people is not easy. They make a lot of money. They're always very busy, and those people are married to the lifestyle. That said, you might message 15 of them, you might get 2 responses. Those are your 2 guys. Yep. Form a relationship with them, and then develop your career and keep in contact with them, because the people that might not have something for you today might be the people who have something for you tomorrow. You get a contact, you started another firm, you work your way up. Hey, you remember me? Oh yeah, you're doing good now. Oh, we got something. Come. This is how it goes, man.
No, I hear you. I used to be a personal assistant for 2 people, a restaurateur and a wardrobe stylist. So I'm thinking that maybe perhaps I could also follow that kind of path that I've taken in the past, where I can be someone's right hand or assist them in their daily operation while learning the product knowledge, if you will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I'm brainstorming, because I like to have some sort of
I understand what you're saying. You could definitely do that. At the type of firm that I'm at, you don't get hired to be someone's like at the type of firm I'm at, you won't get hired into a role where you're like, hey, I'm going to be this person's right hand. However, it happens more organically. You come in, you do the work, you're on a project one day, and then one day the partner needs he needs someone to go run some numbers or create a deck for him at the last minute. Like, hey, I got a client, can you do the, like, oh, I got you. So, and then all of a sudden you become someone that he can trust, and he views you as someone who can get stuff done. And as high up as those people are, they love to have people at lower levels that they know can get stuff done. And that's how you stay in their space. And that's how you get promoted more quickly. So you don't look for what I do, you don't look for the job as the assistant. You get the job as the analyst or as the consultant. And once you're in the door, you show them that I can do these little extra things that you need to make you look good. You help those people look good, they will keep you around. And then that's how you do it.
Wouldn't you agree?
Man, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm, no problem.
Wouldn't you agree that within any team dynamic, like you just said, the first step is getting your foot in the door, becoming a part of the team, and within the dynamic of the team, there will always be an opportunity for leadership. Because see, what Francisco's talking about sounds to me like he has the interpersonal skills, he has leadership qualities. So as a group of people come together to accomplish a goal, there's always going to be opportunity for someone to stand up and say, okay, I can lead this project, I can do this. And these are the ways that you want to be seen. That's how you grow inside of the career, right? Inside of the company.
Definitely. That is how you grow. You take on the leadership where you can. The way our projects are structured, it's hierarchical in nature. We don't have what you call, like, I don't have a boss per se, because I'm going to work on this project today and I'll work on another project in 8 months, and I'll have a different managing director that's over the different delivery lead, but there's different levels. So if you're at the lowest level, you're not going to overstep the manager and say, no, this is how we're going to do it. That said, you do have an opportunity to shine at your level, and the way people move up is typically by performing at the level that's one above them. So if you're an analyst and you prove like, hey, I can get things done that the consultants do, then you will be seen as a leader at the analyst range. Or if you're a consultant who can do what the managers can do, then you will be seen as a leader at that level. But it's a lot of times it's just taking the initiative and just doing a little bit more and proving that you can do more, or that you're willing to do more. Because I mean, in my career, sometimes it's like they will give you as much work as you lead them to believe you can handle. And like, if this is your job and this is going to take you 50 hours a week, and let's say you're at the point in your life where, look, like, my wife's pregnant, or they're like, you might not want to pick up those extra duties right then. But you know, it's just shining at the level you're at, and doing it in the type of firm that I'm at. You have to be politically savvy. You don't want to step on the wrong toes, and you don't want to be the analyst who pissed off the manager. But yeah, definitely, if you do it with tact and you show them that you can do more, there'll always be a place for you to move up, and you'll move up quicker than most.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dimitri. I don't want to, we've gone over a bit. I don't want to infringe on your time anymore. Then, we've asked you to come here and do this, but it's been really great. Thank you so much for coming and talking to everybody and sharing your story and advice. I guess I want to also say quickly to Francisco and anyone else who is trying to kind of navigate your career paths and are kind of at that point. Arthur Williamson, who's asked a couple questions here and helped me bring Dimitri on. He's the Career Pathways Navigator. He is a resource there for you guys. So shout out to him for hooking me up with Dimitri, and shout out again to Dimitri for coming and doing this. Thank you so much.
No problem. If anyone has anything else they want to connect with me at a later time, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. And if there's any knowledge that I can impart to you, definitely feel free. It's Dimitri Pinkney, or J. Dimitri Pinkney on LinkedIn, and you can reach out to me there.